So, hello everyone. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Gabriele Praneviciute. I am from Lithuania, and currently I am the head of Vilnius Academy of Arts Telsiai Gallery. And head sounds a bit too strong in my opinion, but basically I am in charge of upcoming exhibitions, partnerships, and events in the gallery and in the faculty as well. Also, behind the walls of gallery, I keep constant interest about the jewelry and create jewelry myself. I graduated BA of Jewelry and Blacksmithing program at Vilnius Academy of Arts Telsiai faculty, and during my studies I had an opportunity to study for a semester at Munich Academy of Arts, a jewelry class, and for a few summers I had been working in the jewelry store and as a jeweler's assistant in the USA. I feel very flattered to receive an invitation to participate in the webinar sessions today, and it is the first time for me doing something like this, so thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that everything will be all right during this broadcast. I hope that you will enjoy the time together and maybe feel some interest towards my insights and feelings towards the jewelry's past and present in Lithuania. So I could begin that this year's Metallophone theme is bonds. So today I would like to talk with you about bonds between Lithuania, Telsiai, and jewelry. Okay. Still have that dashboard over here. So, as this year's Metallophone's theme is bonds, I would like to talk about bonds between Lithuania, Telsiai, and jewelry, as I said. And why Telsiai? Because the only university-based jewelry and metal art program in Lithuania is here, exactly here. And historically, it is the forge of influential Lithuanian contemporary metal artists. And the metal plastic story still continues here in 2016 because we have the metal art department here. So during the webinar, I will be talking about the history of probably Lithuania's contemporary jewelry and the most significant authors in my opinion. And then I will try to share my insights about the younger generation and the students of Telsiai faculty and the metal artists. So the beginning of the metal plastics history in Telsiai and somewhat Lithuania can be dated from 1938, when in Telsiai School of Handicrafts, they opened a class for metalworking. So the specialty is one of the oldest and probably the most successful in the way, in what now is called Telsiai Faculty of Vilnius Academy of Arts. So because the school dates all the way back, nowadays it still quite greatly emphasizes on the craft aspect, at the same time evolving in the creative field. So here in the picture you can see a blacksmith in a forge. And this is a photo taken from the archives of the handicraft school. And as you can see, the metal art was quite different than it is now. Lithuanian metal art has some distinctive characteristic. It's plastic and sometimes self-irony, but very respectful attitude towards the craft aspect and the balance between the concept and the technical execution. So here you see these, how I would call the metal paintings, and some examples of first contemporary jewelry made in the School of Handicrafts. The photos are black and white, but as you can see, there is some amber, also neck pieces with some botanical themes and so on. And one note in Lithuania's metal art history is quite important in my opinion, and it is the occupation of the USSR, which actually, in my opinion, slowed down the progress of contemporary jewelry as an independent art form as it is today. So the jewelry was mostly based on amber and metal craft object production and also silverware, and they were produced mostly by the former students of the Telsiai handicraft school and the artists who were self-taught and so on. Nevertheless, the artists managed to evolve themselves with the materials available, such as amber, for example, as Feliksas Daukantas and Kazimieras Simonionis, who are called the fathers of Lithuanian contemporary jewelry and masters of amber. But amber is quite another topic, and today I would like to focus more on the jewelers and metal artists who made a huge impact in the contemporary jewelry in Lithuania as a whole phenomenon. So also a big part of evolving in Lithuanian metal plastics were Lithuanian artists traveling to Tallinn, Estonia, where they could see a more democratic, positive, different, and also conceptual approach to jewelry art, such as Birutė Sulgaitė, of who I will talk shortly. Also, Alex Shepkus, who now works in the United States, but started his way up from the design department in Vilnius Academy of Arts, and then proceeded his career in the USA, but also did a huge and really a huge impact in Lithuanian contemporary jewelry history. So I would say that around 80s, 90s was the time when Lithuanian jewelry sparked with these artistic individualities and identities and metaphorical images, and started to be more of an independent form. But differently from the Western jewelers who express their conceptual art principles in performances, jewelry actions, implanting jewels under the skin, recording it, Lithuanian approach was a bit different. The interesting thing is that it was more of an expression of inner emotion and balance between life, nature, and at the same time the more expressing important aspects of that time. But what is quite particular is that even the uplift of the discovered techniques and intellectual aspects did not eliminate the adornmentship of the jewelry. It means that it was still a thing to be worn, and it really didn't eliminate the adornment function of it. On the contrary, discovered techniques such as enamel and metalworking materials such as steel let the individualities of the artists probably bloom, I could say, and form a very distinctive national style of Lithuanian jewelry, which was quite strong in plastics and had very distinctive forms. And for example, I would like to talk about Birutė Sulgaitė today. And her work for me is probably the most inspiring. It is kind of on the edge of jewelry, sculpture, and object with superbly controlled metalworking technique and other techniques such as enameling, working with metal and amber as well. And her works are contrary to the most handicraft-oriented authors at that time, because her compositions, they kind of seem like they're cold, but they manipulate flat, geometric, organic, horizontal, and vertical line contrasts, and making them sort of like a sculpture as well. So it seems that she is manipulating probably the science of harmony, if I could say so. She's manipulating all the shapes, all the symbolic flows. And in my opinion, that she is a fundamental author in the era of the beginning of the Lithuania's contemporary jewelry. So here I have some pictures of her work. A brooch with mammoth gold and silver, also some works with stones. This work is silver with enameled pieces, so the small droplets are very, very precise drops of enamel, and it seems that it's not a piece of jewelry, but it's also an object. So that is one of Birutės Stulgaitės, I would say, identities. She was a sculptor, an object creator, and also a jeweler at the same time, which I think is so modern, and it is modern for that in this time. So, and during the 8th, 9th, and 10th decade, we have a change in understanding of material. The applied arts got more comfortable with eclectic choices of materials, sometimes even using synthetic materials, and expressing the artificial reality of postmodernism. And the example of this era could be pictured in Sigitos Virpilaitės work. The enthusiasm and intellect, questioning the adornment stereotypes of the conservative society, are in his work. His aim was kind of, I would say, liberalize the image of jewelry, stating that adornment, a piece, is not an aspect of social status anymore, that it is a way of philosophy. The adornment did not require to look smart or to look obliged to something. It was just an idea how to play with your look, with your body, with your image. So the idea of his works concentrated around the materials, the play with the materials, unexpected combinations, using ready-mades at sometimes as well. So as this example of Sigitos Virpilaitės works, it is a necklace with fur and amber, and again we meet amber. However, it was implied as a precious material in jewelry industry at that time, and this approach with using it with non-traditional materials and this approach with non-precious metals or something, or silver, was quite outrageous at that time. Some people thought it would be disrespectful to use such precious thing as amber, which is some ready-mades or plastics or synthetics. So that was quite different at that time. Differently than the older art in the older days, at that time amber was treated as a regular and non-special material, and in a way making it the opposite of this sacramental and mythical image in the culture, where it was very common since the old days, and now it's just a piece. It's just a material for working with your imagination, I would say. So, what is also interesting about this author's work, the Sigitos Virpilaitės work, he was looking into the new identity of the materials. So, for example, his series of priekūniai, which are adornments to the body. So starting from the manipulation of and breaking the boundaries of amber, now Sigitas Virpilaitis kind of breaks the boundaries of the traditional jewel, the traditional adornment piece as well. So the series were concentrated on breaking the limits and boundaries of the stereotypes, basically how people are wearing things. So although Virpilaitis' work does not cover all the opinions in contemporary Lithuanian jewelry, it quite defines the field how it was developing. So from the rather conservative, not really conservative, but from very exact Birutės Stulgaitė, we go to Sigitas Virpilaitis, who starts to kind of play with the material and with the shapes and the general understanding how jewelry works. It defines that the jewelers start to develop themselves more intellectually in a way and start to get more into information from other schools, from other countries as well. So as the Lithuanian artists start to be bold, more bold and more different in a way and more experimental, analyzing the fields of fashion, they start to work with fashion designers, they start to analyze kitsch, material industry, social life, and as an example of these themes, I would say that Solveiga and Alfredas Krivičiai did very great works who kind of picture that. So here you can see the rings with razor blades. Also, their approach to consumerism and to kitsch, and yeah, just basic consumerism. This is a brooch with a face of a Barbie, and also still today they kind of are interested in the phenomena, what's happening today in Lithuania. So, for example, this necklace called Pukanaltai is actually a phenomena that happened quite recently in Lithuania. So it was about getting one of these pill-shaped things at a supermarket for buying some goods for some price or buying some exact goods for that day. And it was such a strange thing when people would come up to the cash register and they would even start to yell at the cash register people why they didn't give them, because the kids wanted them, the adults wanted them, and it was, for me, it was such an unexplainable thing, why such small thing as plastic can draw so much attention. So as a piece of irony, I think it is a great depiction of what kind of irrational things are happening in Lithuania. So the approach to jewelry has changed today in the younger generation, I think, as well. So I would like to show some works of the younger generation, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them are students of Vilnius Academy of Art Telsiai faculty, or somewhat are connected to the Academy of Arts. So first of all, I would like to talk about Sandra Malaškevičiūtė. She is a jeweler of a younger generation, and her works are standing out with original and vivacious concepts and ideas, as well as unusual materials, such as organic glass. Here you can see a brooch which has these bold pop art elements, such as big bright lips filled with buttons. And actually this was in A17 gallery, Also, some of her works are not, the author is not limited to only jewelry. She also creates small plastic objects connecting organic glass with another material, such as apple seeds in this case. So it really shows the flexibility of an author, but also how the author knows how to use the material quite respectfully and still coming up with something really new. Also, Sandra's works are interesting in a way that they are not only jewelry, as I mentioned, they are also as objects, as these vivid, bright, playful objects, and more like sculptural objects. So I think she's quite original author in the younger generation. Also, it's worth mentioning Benas Taškauskas, of his expressive variations in resin, plastic, lava, or just, I would say, petrol-based plastics. So his work is very organic and dramatic in a way. You can see almost like some inspiration from nature, some from the cosmos almost, and it's made very technically, and also, as previous works, they are still connected to the craft aspect. They are made very carefully, and the works are quite technically very strong, I would say. So his work is very organic, and in a way it moves away from the norm of using precious metals and gemstones, and he uses recyclable materials, and it kind of is like shaping people's understanding of contemporary jewelry and sustainability as well. So here I have some pictures of his work, of his necklaces, also rings, and again, super dramatic and super effective looking pieces of jewelry. So another author that I would like to mention is Karina Kozlowskaite. She is focusing more on the conceptual arts and performance and visuals, and her work stands out with the forms and unconventional materials she's using, so such as ostrich skin, magnets, paper, gilding. And especially this work, I think that is so clever, using magnets and just organic forms with gilding on top. It really is quite a different approach to brooches. Also, she never stops surprising with some kind of, with her just in general approach to what material she's using, but again, even the brooches are still wearable, and the necklace over here, even though it's from unconventional material, it really still gives that sensual effect, and also looking as an adornment. And now I would like to talk about the youngest generation of jewelers in Lithuania. So I would like to come back to Telsiai. And the works that I will be presenting now will be the works of metal art department in Vilnius Academy of Arts Telsiai faculty. And well, the base for our school's program, I think, is the connection between craft, as it was before in the handicraft school, and the art. So the students still kind of feel that they have a strong connection with the material, with the craft, with the technology, while they still can develop themselves in creative field. So here I have some student works. Here I have Zanya Zhukovska. Now I think she is fourth year student, and this is her entry for the Legnica festival, for the Legnica competition, and the theme was boundaries, I think. So she made this very interesting and intriguing looking piece of jewelry and a concept. How can you expand your boundaries, or not expand your boundaries, but just having a boundary as a sharp nail in the end of the adornment. So it's quite a playful approach with the balloon. So as much as you blow the balloon, then it reaches the boundary of the wire and it just pops. So it's kind of an interactive piece of jewelry. Also, worth mentioning is Diana Gladkaya, and she is a student who always has this like very social and political approach to jewelry, and it is her work Anybody Else Wants a Bite of a Biscuit. So her work focuses on the problems of today's world of not getting along between the countries, some countries trying to get back or get more of the land, and it's quite a playful yet very precise approach to this kind of sensitive theme. So these are just like cookie cutters shaped like the countries who are quite in danger here. So you have the Crimea, you have the Ukraine, Israel, and so on. So it also shows that the students are not only very oriented into the pop culture or fashion or just like playfulness in general, they're also quite sensitive to political topics as well, such as Victoria Richelita's work. It's called Mac Amber. Also, again, some kind of connection with amber remains. There are some people who hate it, there are some people who love it, but it still kind of mingles with the works of the students, and still kind of comes from the past, although it seems like a very old school thing, we still integrate it now. Also, works of Cornelia Gerekaita. Again, very technical work. The depictions of the mouths, of the smiles. Very impressive handwork, I would say. This is one of the diploma works in the academy. And as I mentioned, very close relationship with the technical and the conceptual aspect. Also, the shapes, I would say, are not as very conventional. They're also very abstract, but also very modern. And this work is by Justina Zimonita. Oh, and also, as I was the part of the I would say community of Vilnius Academy of Arts Telsiai faculty, and I am now, I would like to talk a bit about my work and how contemporary jewelry got my interest. So I started the jewelry program here probably as the most students, they were thinking that they will get like this technical background, but I probably wasn't really that interested into like this theoretical aspect, this jewelry concept. So I was just starting to play with different mechanics, with just technologies in general, and during the end of second year, then I got more comfortable around the excuse me, got more comfortable around the conceptual jewelry. So this work is kind of like steampunk inspired. It is called Viewpoint, and it is a mechanical eye patch with mechanism where you can put different plexiglass circles with some kind of emotion. So it was kind of like an idea to do a tool for a very kind of humble person who doesn't know how to explain its emotions. So yeah, just with a one blink and one eyesight, you would see the emotion of the wearer. Also, I was interested in the kitsch and the fashion phenomena, as I was showing the work before of Solveiga and Alfredas Krivičiai, where was the Pufa Mountain necklace. So the same phenomena was here with the Angry Birds. Around 2 years ago, it was a huge phenomena here in Lithuania, just when the game Angry Birds started. So I decided that I would like to not really eliminate sounds quite harsh, but how I could use the Angry Birds in other way and use them to make something organic and not so pop and not so bright out of it. So I came up with an idea to use this very fake plastic material as raw material for the collection. And I just started to burn it and to shape it into different forms, and to sometimes imitating some natural materials such as coal or bone. And yeah, this was a work that kind of tried to manipulate the senses and the attention of the viewer, how you can dramatically change something which was created into something that doesn't look even remotely close to it. And then during my first semester in fourth year, I had this great opportunity to go to Munich Academy of Arts as an Erasmus student, and I got to the jewelry class there. Unfortunately, Otto Künzli was retired at that time, so there was really no leading lecturer. But we also had opportunities to work with Carl Fritsch, and I would say that was my main place where I got into this understanding of contemporary jewelry language. As now how I call it is that contemporary jewelry is not just like a phenomenon, it's just a language of art. And I mean, I didn't understand this language when I was in my first year of university. So Munich really shaped me into the creator that I am now, and I wouldn't say that I have evolved, but I'm still evolving from that point, I would say. So at that time, I was reading lots of theoretical books and theories by Daniel Skinner and Elizabeth Van Besten. And then I started to think, when jewelry stops being jewelry, when it starts being something else. So it inspired me to do this series of brooches, which would be as a tool to shape a jewel around your body. So the pieces are made out of granite, and it was just local granite that I found near the academy. It was quite instinctive, I would say, but yeah, with this set of brooches, you can really shape the jeweler, not the jeweler, but the jewel and the piece on your body, and then thinking, what is this? Is this a brooch? Is this a necklace? Is this some kind of a body adornment? So it was like a play on that. And when I got back from the Erasmus semester, I had to do my diploma work here in Lithuania. So I wouldn't say cold plastics of stone, but the whole nature of stone and the concrete was really inspiring me to do something with those materials. So it kind of clashed with my idea of the diploma work. So my diploma work is a series of unisex objects, unisex rings or necklaces. They are inspired by my hometown Visaginas, which is in Lithuania. And actually Visaginas is quite an interesting city because it was built for the workers in the nuclear power plant that they were building, which was shut down around 5, maybe 6, 7 years ago. And it's like this ultimate Soviet utopian city. It is, although half built, they only built half of the city, but the city is actually made of these concrete blocks. There are no private homes, there are no just like condos, villas. There's just these blocks of concrete, and of course lots of nature and pines. So it kind of got me thinking that I was living in this place for the most of my life, and it has become as a memory for me and as a souvenir how unique this place is, because when traveling around Lithuania when I was a student, because Visaginas is quite far away from Telsiai where I was studying, it's really on the other side of Lithuania, I started to notice how different and I started noticing those things that I didn't notice before. So it was so different. I mean, probably 80% of the population spoke only Russian there. And for me, when I got out of that city, it was quite different to understand that in other cities, people are living the other way. So this series of jewelry is kind of like a souvenir, a memory for me. Souvenir as being a memory, as it is in its meaning. So I made these pieces that could be put in this concrete block like depiction of the architecture, and can be taken with you as a souvenir, or it can stand just as a memorial for you, for your memories. So yeah, and that was my diploma work, and from this point I still try to evolve more and more. I try to find new materials to work with, and yeah, I would say thank you for your attention. I think I tried to cover some aspects of Lithuania's contemporary jewelry scene and how it's changed during the times till now. I hope you found this webinar interesting. So yeah, thank you.